Governor Lamont says prohibition does not work, and if passed, the bill would allow adults 21 and older to possess and purchase up to 1.5 ounces of cannabis from a licensed retailer. Senate Bill 888 focuses on legalizing and regulating the adult use of marijuana. The three biggest components: decriminalization, regulation, and revenue generation.
This has been a long time coming. We've been talking about this for ages. And I think now is the time for legalized adult use recreational marijuana in a carefully regulated way.
The state estimates $33.6 million in revenue for fiscal year 2023. In Connecticut, medical marijuana became legal in 2012, and the Department of Consumer Protection says the current program would set an example for recreational rules and regulations. In the proposal, certain criminal records for possession of marijuana would be automatically wiped clean.
And it's important to keep in mind, if you take that out of the flow of business in our criminal courts, you allow prosecutors and judges and police to focus on the higher risk violent offenders. And that by itself is a good thing.
The proposal also focuses on helping high-risk communities suffering from drug abuse and crime by developing an equity commission. Community leaders say they would like to see revenue set aside to help urban areas like New Haven, Stamford, and Hartford.
Through an equity commission, you have policies that are promoted that do help and directly and indirectly reduce poverty. And the communities that are going to be impacted by the equity commission will receive greater resources to enhance the community.
Governor Lamont says his proposal includes working with neighboring states. During the roundtable, the mayor of Middletown pointing out that many residents make the trip to nearby Massachusetts to purchase marijuana.
Obviously, these are places that are taking in money hand over fist from eager customers. And in addition to the revenue on the state side that gets talked about a lot, there is also a revenue opportunity here for cities and towns.
The Connecticut Police Chiefs Association expressed their opposition to the bill, citing the lack of qualified roadside testing for suspected drivers who may be under the influence of marijuana. The association released a statement reading in part, "This bill, if passed, will diminish the safety of our roadways, while at the same time, law enforcement is still dealing with the effects of the opioid crisis and the impact that it's had on roadway and pedestrian safety." Under this proposal, legal sale of marijuana could begin mid-2022. A public hearing on this bill will be held this Friday. In Hartford, Nia Maldonado, Fox 61 News.